I have great pleasure in extending a warm welcome to our chief guest, Ms. Sunita Reddy, MD of Apollo Hospitals, whose friendship, energy, and enthusiasm for Buddhi has been inspiring for us. Our guest of honor, Professor Sudha Seshen, the Vice Chancellor of Tamil Nadu MGI Medical University, who is both a renowned academic leader and a spiritual guide. Welcome, ma'am. Mrs. Sarla Krishnan and Mr. V. Krishnan, parents of Dr. Deepa Krishnan, who have in her memory supported our neurodevelopmental therapy unit for many, many years now. Welcome and thank you for all your support. Our advisors, Mr. A. Vellayan, Mr. Raju Venkatraman, whose guidance during our journey of growth and development into a young and vibrant organization has been invaluable. We are missing Mr. Srinivas Acharya, who has had to travel for work, who's also been a very important part of that journey. Our friends and well-wishers from across the medical fraternity and lay intelligentsia, I see many familiar faces in the audience. Very, very warm welcome to all of you. The press gathered here, who will no doubt carry our messages of hope and promise to a wider audience. One of the most important things I have learned is that we need to offer to our patients hope and promise, not say that there's nothing that can be done. And I think that what we do here is really try and offer that hope and promise as a first step. And I warmly welcome each and every one of you to today's functions. I'd like to describe today what I consider the 5 pillars of Buddhi Clinic. Our first pillar is our strong academic legacy. And you see that we have a lovely library of books. We've had the opportunity of organizing over 100 academic meetings and collaborations over the years. Our work has been published in many international forums, universities around the world, international academic forums for neuropsychiatry, dementia, epilepsy, neurorehabilitation, and a range of other specialties. And what I'm very, very happy about is that increasingly, several times a year now, our presentations on this integrated care model are sought by international conferences and people putting together meetings where they'd like to hear how we have started doing these treatments that blend modern science and ancient wisdom. And so that's been a very, very important part of the journey. We have 3 Buddhi books that we have published through our case studies and empirical research. And we have chapters in several international books with Cambridge, with Oxford University Press, with Springer, with a number of very reputed publications, all of which address this subject of integrated care in neuropsychiatry. So the first pillar really is the academic pillar on which we stand. The second pillar is integrated neuropsychiatry itself. The borderlands between the brain and mind are difficult borderlands. They are not borderlands that everybody understands. And I think COVID has taught us the criticality of this whole. Had people with typical neuropsychiatric problems like delirium after a bout of COVID, and that's where the brain is affected, and because of that the behavior is affected. And then we have people with mental health issues who are psychologically affected by COVID. So COVID's taught us this breadth of symptoms that the brain and mind can actually cause in all of us, and many people continue to have long COVID symptoms. In our center, we have an integrated approach from diagnosis to treatment, care, and rehabilitation, and we do it across the lifespan. Our youngest patient is 2.5 months old with developmental disabilities. Our oldest patient to date is 99. I haven't had a centenarian yet. So in a sense, therefore, it's right across the lifespan. We all have brains and minds, and very often they malfunction and need sorting out. And integrated neuropsychiatry is that. The third pillar is our philosophy. What can we do for people beyond medication and surgery? And that's why you'll see everywhere a sign off, beyond medication. This area, what's called non-pharmacological therapy, is becoming one of the most important areas the world today for any chronic disease. From autism to Alzheimer's, people in worldwide conferences are concerned not just about what drug can I give this person, what procedure can I do, but also what non-pharmacological treatments I can do to improve their activities of daily life and improve their quality of life. And that's really the third pillar. How do you provide a fine blend of modern science, medical process, modern medicine, and ancient wisdom and bring it all under one roof? And I think that's what we have been working on for years, and I think this building exemplifies that third pillar of integrated care. Our fourth pillar is what I call going beyond the ivory tower. My father told me this many, many years ago. He said, patients will come to you for diagnosis, they'll come to you for prescriptions, but how do you expect them to come all the way to you every time for therapy, rehabilitation? It has to go to them. And that's a lesson we all learned. So you need to take care to the doorstep. For major procedures, for expert doctor meetings, people will travel, they will come. But to tell them you come 20 times to a center when someone is disabled, that means 2 other people in the family lose a working day. And I don't think it's really sustainable. So taking care to the doorstep is extremely important to people. Now, how do you take care to the doorstep? We've innovated in many ways. The first way we did was home care, where our teams take pretty much everything we do in this center to the house of the patient. And we are able to deliver care in the house, in the comfort of the home. The second thing we did was in the last year, during COVID, we started an in-hospital center in Coimbatore. And that has taught us a lot of lessons because people come to the hospital anyway for their other needs. And it's therefore very convenient and easy for them to seek care in the hospital as long as they are able to travel. We are now innovating during the pandemic because people were worried about having people come to them, especially strange people, especially elders. We started this whole process of do-it-yourself care. And do-it-yourself care is where we send you the kit, what you need for therapy, and our experts come online and guide you. And our kit includes flowcharts, it includes therapy material, it includes a lot of information. One of the other things that we have done during this period is we've developed a workbook for every one of our patients, because therapy is not just our responsibility, it's as much their responsibility to monitor their own progress. So this is something that we very successfully piloted during the pandemic, and these innovations have really helped. The final pillar is social impact. And when we had in 2000 a conference on epilepsy, a very famous epileptologist who was working with tribals in Bangalore, Dr. K.S. Mani, who's no more, he said, you cannot do healthcare without service. And that was a very powerful message, that people want to be helped, people are willing to take help, they are seeking help, but there is a gap sometimes between what they need and what they can actually afford. And that's where a Seva program or a social impact program comes into play. We are very fortunate that Buddhi Seva has many donors. Mrs. Krishnan and Mr. Krishnan are here, but we have several other donors, both individual philanthropists and corporates who have helped us. And I'm very happy to say that over 300 people have benefited from Seva in this very short period that it has been operational. And we are constantly seeking support so that we can help people. We've made Seva very transparent. We've created a whole means-tested benefit program, and we want to make sure it reaches all those who really need it. So that is the social impact, or the fifth pillar. So I say that Buddhi Clinic, in my view, has to rest on these 5 pillars, and each of them is very, very important in their own way. With the establishment of this new clinic and resource center, we are taking a bold step into the future. Our journey was into a hitherto uncharted area. When we started, I don't think anyone was doing anything like this. I now see people doing pockets of this integrated medicine in various ways. And I'm so happy to see that. I think it's extremely important. But I think we need to mainstream integrated medicine, integrated care for the elderly, integrated care for the brain and mind and disability, and take it where the mainstream is. And I think care has to be delivered, as a mainstream program which healthcare institutions, acknowledge, embrace, and for the benefit of older people. This is a global first healthcare model. I've traveled around the world. I've lectured in integrative medicine centers in many places. And I think as a Chennaiite, I'm very happy that there's one more innovation that's coming from Chennai for the world. And we really, really hope that this will reach the world, because I think that people all over the world deserve the best care, the best health care that we can give them. So with that, I will welcome all of you once again. Thank you so much for joining us today, and a very special welcome to all our guests who've taken time off to be with us today. Thank you so much.
Namaste. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Krishnamurti, the promoters of this wonderful Buddhi clinic, its patrons, and all its supporters. It is indeed a pleasure to be with you this afternoon. I think, I often wonder, I thought, why did Dr. Krishnamurti call me? At Apollo Hospitals when we started, it was all about treating what we felt were centers of excellence. And in that journey, we've worked at looking after cardiac patients, the end-to-end care from prevention to looking after them during an intervention and rehabilitation. We've done so for orthopedics, and we've really reached a peak when we did so in oncology. But when it came to neurology, and this was something that I was extremely passionate about, we understood there were 27 subspecialties in the neuro space. And when I look at what Dr. Krishnamurti has done today, I realized that for many of them, we were just throwing darts in the darkness. There was so much that we did not understand. The brain continues to be an enigma. And I think that scientists all over the world have said it is probably the most complex organ or organism, a collection of organisms that has ever existed today. Maybe just as complex as the universe. So, and even an attempt to try to understand this is indeed a great achievement. And I would truly like to congratulate Dr. Krishnamurti for bringing together technology, the human touch, and the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda in this healing journey. So congratulations, Dr. Krishnamurti. There's so much more I could say about this Buddhi clinic, but he said it all in his speech. He said more in his AV, so I'm not going to dwell too much about Buddhi clinic. But I would like to talk about, the background as we see it today, the environment as we see it today. Neurodisability is one of the largest causes of disability in the world, and it strikes at a very young population from the age of 15 to 25, and that's really when it peaks. A 2019 study showed that of 80% of all disabilities in this age of 16 to 60 was neurodisability. And this could mean about 250 million patients across the world. So I'm not looking at this as a market, but I'm really looking at it in terms of what is the social impact, what is the healing impact that we could make together. Dr. Krishnamurti has done this wonderfully, and I've seen a demonstration of how he's taken it beyond the confines of four walls into homes. And together I believe that we have an opportunity to do something that's good not only for society but for humankind. And we do so in two ways. One is, as being from the medical profession, we've always looked at as the brain as something you treat for blood clots, for strokes, as part of the testing for high blood pressure, or for cancer where you treat tumors. But now we are really looking at what we can do for preventive health care. And to that end, we launched this program, Celebrate, at Apollo. I'm so glad to say that we have joined hands and that we will take this further so that we can prevent people from really reaching an age, a point where where they become disabled, where they become a liability on their families. And when we've done that, I think, we would have reached a significant milestone. And we can only do this in partnership. I truly believe that the essence of this partnership is bringing our skills together. We as a healthcare organization using scientific data, enabling access to those who have problems with neurodisabilities, to prevent people from really reaching that point where their dependence on others has become so high or where they're isolated from the social environment. And this is just the beginning of our journey. As human beings, I think we are insignificant. As individuals, we are really insignificant when you think of the complex universe around us. We are just inhabitants of the planet Earth in the country India in the city of Madras. Descartes once said, "I think, therefore I am." I think that together we can do so much more, that we can create health and happiness, not just for us, not just for this decade, but in generations to come, because a happy and healthy generation of people will provide that for the next and the future generations. So I wish you success, and I wish us success in this journey of creating health and happiness to all of us.
As this wonderful evening comes to a finale, I have the pleasant duty of proposing the vote of thanks. On behalf of the Buddhi Clinic, I express my deep gratitude to our chief guest, Mrs. Sunita Reddy, and guest of honor, Professor Sudha Seshayan, for having taken time off from their busy schedules to be a part of our celebrations today, for their warm wishes and inspiring words. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm very grateful to Mrs. Sarla Krishnan and Mr. V. Krishnan for their continued generous contributions to the Dr. Deepa Krishnan Neurodevelopmental Suite, which will be used to rehabilitate children with mental and physical disabilities, and to our many other donors for their generous contributions. Thank you, ma'am and sir, and to all of you. We are very thankful to our advisors, Mr. A. Vellayan, Mr. Srinivasa Acharya, who is not present today, Mr. Raju Venkatraman, for their continued mentorship and patient guidance to keep us on course. Thank you, sirs. We are very grateful to the members of the press who are covering the event today. Thank you very much. A very big thank you to our patients and their families for their continued trust in us, our friends and well-wishers who've joined us today, and those who have sent their wishes from all over the world, for their unstinting support through the years. We shall endeavor to better our best while caring for you. We thank Marundishwara Enterprises for managing this event, for audio-visual support, for the people behind the cameras, our caterers, as some goodies await us at the end of the program. Last but not the least, our energetic Buddhi team. You can guess why. We have a dynamic leader who tells us to have our shoulders to the wheel. And like Sudha ma'am said, we have to do the ascent, more floors. And we promise that we will do everything as well as we can. Thank you very much for joining us here and making this evening truly special. Thank you.